على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're going to get started with a Quran recitation by Brother Haidar. Adi salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان. والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان. والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب والعصف والريحان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجن من مارج من نار. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ رب المشرقين ورب المغربين. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يا معشر الجن والإنس إن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا لا تنفذون إلا بسلطان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ يرسل عليكما شواظ من نار ونحاس فلا تنتصران. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فإذا انشقت السماء فكانت وردة كالدهان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ فيومئذ لا يسأل عن ذنبه إنس ولا جان. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان؟ صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, Brother Haidar. I'd like to welcome you all and thank you all for joining us today for the birth of our beloved Imam Reda alayhi salam here at the Islamic House of Wisdom. We have an exciting program lined up for you tonight, consisting of both lecture, mawalid, raffles, cake, gifts, etc. We have with us today Brother Jalal Mughniye, Sayyid Haidar Nasrallah, and Mullah Ali Fadil. And so before we get started today, I'd like to thank our sponsors and the organizations who helped us put together this program. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the Islamic House of Wisdom, specifically Sheikh Ilahi and Sister Jennifer Ilahi, for opening their mosque up to us. I'd like to thank Al Akbar Foundation from London for collaborating with us during this program. I'd like to thank Ummah, who was a sponsor of this program. Many of you know Ummah for their annual conferences. They're doing amazing work, so support them as much as you can because they're doing work on behalf of us. Also, I'd like to thank Spiritual Journeys, who actually donated a wonderful raffle prize that we are so excited to share with you all. And so Spiritual Journeys is an English-based ziyara group or hamle, and they go to Iraq, Iran, not sure if they go to Syria anymore, but inshallah soon. And so I've been blessed to be able to go with Spiritual Journeys and do ziyara Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam. And Spiritual Journeys is a phenomenal ziyara group. They have wonderful scholars like Sheikh Muhammad al-Hilli, Sayyid Ammar Nakshawani, Sheikh Nuru, amongst others. And they also have wonderful reciters like Brother Mullah Ammar al-Nashid, Haidar Jizani, Hassan Mudaffar, Abadar al-Halwaji. So it's a phenomenal group. If I can compare my trip between when I went with another hamle and when I went to Spiritual Journeys, there's an immense difference. You want to go with a group that do this out of their pure love for Muhammad Ali Muhammad alayhi salam. And these people will make your trip just immense. Of course, it's already special and every hamle is amazing, but they really are a terrific group. And so for one of our raffles today, on behalf of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, is a gift, is a trip to visit, to do ziyarah to Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam. It is a ground package. And so if you win the Spiritual Journeys raffle ticket, once you get to Iran, your hotel and your stay and the services of the scholars and reciters will be compensated for. So if you guys want to visit Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, like I know we all do, try to win the raffle because it can help immensely. And so the raffles are $1 a piece. The funds that we get for the raffle go towards the expenses for this program. You know, these programs are very necessary, as I'm sure we all know since we're all here. We should always celebrate Muhammad Ali Muhammad alayhi salam, and we should always mourn them when the time is appropriate. And so that's where the raffles will go to. They're $1 a piece. We also have scooters, 2 scooters for children, and we also have 2 Big B vouchers. So thank you to the donors of our raffle prizes. And so they are selling raffles outside. However, I take it most of you want to stay in here and listen. So we will have volunteers who will be going up and down the aisles. We have Brother Ahmed Ghamloush, who's right here for the men, for the brothers. And we have Sister Sarah Bazzi, who will be going down the aisles for the women. If you guys want to buy raffle tickets, just either holler at them when they're walking up and down or raise your hands or whatnot. Or you can go outside and buy. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker of the night. It is our honor to have him. He's one of our very own in our community. And so please help me welcome Brother Jalal Mughniye, Ba'da Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعيد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. And a third time in love of our beloved Imam Ali al-Rada, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. don't need the echo. Ali Fadl is going to be doing the reciting tonight. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, we ask Allah to send His greatest peace and blessings upon Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings He has given us, and the greatest blessing being that He allowed us to be of the ones who remain steadfast, dedicated, and loyal on the path of our Master after the Prophet, the Commander of the Faithful, the Prince of the Believers, the Protector of the Prophet and His message, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. We praise Allah for this blessing and every blessing, for without Allah, we would have nothing. Assalamu alaikum, my dear respected brothers and sisters, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just as a quick note, before we jump into the presentation tonight, in honor of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, just a quick note on the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Know that throughout history, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and this is something that's characteristic and key to the identity of a follower of Ahlul Bayt, and it's something that actually we're proud of, is the fact that we're a minority. So wherever you go in history, the majority of the cases you find that the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, wherever they are in the world, most likely they find themselves to be a minority. And in a minority, we're still heard. Not necessarily in the loudness of our voices, but in the strength of our conviction. So when we amongst ourselves ask or recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, at the very least, let us show a little bit of conviction in that salawat. So please, anytime a salawat is mentioned, whether it's once or twice, 5 or 20 times, give it its true dedication and its true commitment, and raising your voices in love of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Please, one time, with the loudest of your voices, Salah ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Much better. You see, when it comes to our love and our dedication to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it's something that when it comes to some of these rituals that we have, whether it's the salawat, whether it's coming together in commemoration, whether it's holding majalis in honor of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, whatever it may be, we find ourselves bringing ourselves back to Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, reminding ourselves of that relationship that invigorates us, that enlivens us, that brings us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because at the end of the day, my dear brothers and sisters, young and old, everything that we do in this world, in this life, if it is not linked to the memory, to the remembrance, to that conviction in God Almighty, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it's not connected to Him, then it is in vain, then it is a waste, then it is something that you might be doing it, we might be doing it, but it's not something worthwhile. Anything can start at a default state, something that's simply mubah, a default that has no value one way or the other, it's just okay. But once you bring the remembrance of God in it, connected, linked through Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, you'll see that default state turn into something that enlivens you, that brings you wealth, that brings you success in this life and the next. So, my dear brothers and sisters, we take this privilege to sit here today and take just about 20 to 30 minutes of remembering lessons from the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam. Imam Ali Reda, our 8th Imam, the son of Imam al-Qadim, Every single one of our Imams, just like every single one of our Imams, he was unique. He had a certain life experience that we look to and we can derive lessons that are different from other Imams. Different in the case that when he faced those trials and tribulations, it gives us a variation of what we can look and apply to in our own lives. For example, when you look at the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, he was one of the only Imams that was in a position where he was in a position of political authority. If you look into our history, the vast majority of our Imams were ones who were outside of political authority. Not that they were outside of politics or civic society, but that they were outside of the helm. And Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, he was actually appointed by the Khalifa of his time, Al-Ma'mun, the son of Harun al-Rashid, to be Al-Wali al-Ahd. Wali al-Ahd was the heir apparent. He was basically the next in line. And he was selected because of certain political reasons. Not that Al-Ma'mun loved the Imam or truly felt like he wanted him to lead after him, but there were circumstances around that. I'm going to go briefly into the history just so that we can have some context of what happened during the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam after the death of his father Imam Musa al-Kadhim and after the death of Harun al-Rashid, who was the caliph of the time during Imam Musa al-Kadhim's life. You see, Harun al-Rashid, the Abbasid caliph, who would rise amongst the Abbasids after the Umayyad dynasty. If you remember back to the times when we think of, during the times of Muharram, we often hear about the Umayyads, Banu Umayyah. Banu Umayyah was the clan that started with Muawiyah, who took rule after Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and after Imam al-Hasan. With Muawiyah, after him came Yazid, who we all know from the story of Ashura as the main proponent, the main individual, the main antagonist against Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and the followers of Ahlul Bayt for the story of Ashura. So the Umayyad dynasty itself, it would rule for about 90 years during the lives of Imam Ali Zain al-Abidin, Imam al-Baqir, and Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. During the life of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq and into the life of Imam al-Kadhim during his imamate, the Umayyad dynasty would decline and the Abbasid dynasty would come onto the rise to take rule. During the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, we find Harun al-Rashid, his power passing on to who? His sons. Well, it wasn't just a mere passing of power. With Harun al-Rashid, he had two sons. Like many of us, we have brothers and sisters. Harun al-Rashid had many children. Two of his sons, being Al-Amin and Al-Ma'mun. Al-Amin, his mother was an Arab. Al-Ma'mun, his mother was a Persian. And at this time in our history, just like today actually, but even more so, there was still a lot of racism, discrimination, and bigotry. So by default, people, if they found that you were an Arab, and you happen to be an Arab, you kind of felt more of an affinity to them. Or if you were from Persian descent, and you saw someone that was of Persian descent, you felt that affinity to them. As opposed to not just feeling that affinity, but also feeling this sense of animosity towards people that don't belong to that same group. So naturally, with Al-Amin and Al-Ma'mun, those two brothers, they weren't necessarily the most brotherly of brothers. They actually would kill one another, or intended to kill one another, to make sure that whoever would be alive would be the one to rise to power. They were willing to take the life of their own blood so that they can secure their own power. To kind of settle the differences and allow the people that were being ruled by the Abbasid Empire at that time, to let them be at ease, what Harun al-Rashid said was that he would allow Al-Amin to rule in the Arab areas of the Muslim Empire. And then he would allow Al-Ma'mun to rule in the Persian areas of the Muslim Empire. So that both of them would be ruling, and both people would be happy, and both peoples would be happy as well. So, naturally, Al-Amin would take rule in Baghdad, which was the capital of the Abbasid Empire. And Al-Ma'mun would take rule in some of the northern areas of Persia. Now, Al-Ma'mun had a plan. He wasn't necessarily content with the idea that you would just have rulership in Persia, that alone being a certain area, maybe a quarter or 1/3 of the Muslim empire. He wanted more. He wanted all of it. So what Imam did was he decided, you know what, I need to build some allies. I need to build some relationships. I need to make sure I bring more people on my side. He already had the people of Persia on his side because of the affinity that they had to him, as that his mother was a Persian herself. So he decided, let me look and see of the individuals that have clout with the people. Who do the people love? Who do the people like? So he would naturally start appointing individuals amongst the ummah that he could rely on because they had a good sense of leadership with the people. Now, one of those individuals that he wanted to tap onto was Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam. Because not only amongst the Persians, but also amongst the Arabs, Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, as the descendant of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the individual who was not just, again, brothers and sisters, a lot of times when we go back into history, we think about it simply out of a theological framework. As in, because we're followers of Ahlul Bayt, we admire and we hold the members of Ahlul Bayt in such a high esteem. But when you look at it historically, you'll see that even with the individuals that didn't follow Ahlul Bayt theologically and based on their creed, they still looked at Imam Ali Reda and all of the members of Ahlul Bayt, all of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt in such a high esteem. Because in their own right, regardless of what you felt and thought and believed of them, you would assess them and see these individuals as being the most upright, the most respectful, the most courteous, the most ethical in their leadership as servant leaders. They would follow the example of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam and of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Even before the Prophet, even before Rasulullah became the messenger of God in the eyes of the people, he was considered to be what? As-Sadiq al-Amin. That his ethics were the first thing that people saw in him. So naturally, Imam Ali Reda, whether people followed him or not, saw him in that same light. So what Al-Ma'mun did was, he brought Imam Ali Reda, he called upon him from where he was living at the time in Medina, in modern-day Saudi Arabia, in Al-Hijaz. He called upon him to come to Persia and become his wali al-ahd. So he was calling on Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam to be his heir apparent. Now this is something, of course, that Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam didn't directly or didn't instantaneously, didn't take that position right away. Meaning he denied it. He rejected the offer time and time again until Al-Ma'mun persisted so much and the decision was pretty clear that if the Imam would not take that position, if he would not become the heir apparent of Al-Ma'mun, even though Al-Ma'mun was not in a position to give authority, again from our theological perspective, the Imam made the decision to become the heir apparent. At that time, and this is something that if you read the history of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, it's such an amazing thing that we look at the history of Ahlul Bayt, all of them, from the beginning to the end, we see the oppression, the persecution, that they were silenced. During the time of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, much like the brief period of Imam Ali's rulership, remember when Imam Ali alayhi salam, for about 4.5 years, he was the actual Khalifa. For a short period of time, even though that period of time was plagued by civil war and unrest, even though there was enemies from all sorts, during that time Imam Ali alayhi salam was at the helm of political authority. But characteristically, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and you'll see this also with the life of Imam Ali Reda, when he would talk to people, it was apparent that that wasn't the Imam's goal. That even if he was in political authority, that didn't matter to him, because the goal was different. The goal was not the political authority itself. The goal was not the power itself. The goal was not the influence itself. Abdullah bin Abbas comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam one day during his khilafah, he sends salams and there's an exchange. And some of you might have heard this story before, where he comes up to the Imam and the Imam is polishing his shoe. He looks at the Imam tells him, "O Abbas, O Abdullah, what say you of the value of the shoe?" And he said, "It's just a shoe, it doesn't have any value." He was perplexed. He told him, "You see this caliphate that I sit and I rule, this caliphate does not have the value of the shoe. And the only reason I'm in this position is because I wish to establish justice and fairness for all." There was a principle that Imam Ali alayhi salam had, that all of our Imams would continue to have. In essence, this was the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It came to three principles. Of course, there were many principles, but if you look at the movement of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam throughout history, including Imam Ali Reda, whom we're honoring tonight, you'll see that whatever position they were in, whatever authority they had, be it temporal authority or otherwise, there was three principles that I'd like to highlight. And those are the following. One, the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam always had at the forefront of their minds, and the strategy that they had, the vision that they lived for, was protecting the religion of Islam, protecting the faith that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to establish, the seal of religions, the principles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything came second to the religion. That's why you see Imam Ali alayhi salam give up his personal rights time and time again. That's why you see Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam during his lifetime that he would give up the khilafah to Muawiyah and sign a peace accord, that peace accord would be the foundation on which the society would look and see the movement of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam in such an honorable way. That would be the foundation in which Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would rise against tyranny. Not a rise in rebellion and arms, but a rise in victory of principle. That principle of putting Islam first. إن كان دين محمد لم يستقم إلا بقتلي فيا سيوف خذيني. That principle, that if the religion of Muhammad is not to remain except through my death, then all swords take me. That is the principle that Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam had, even though he did not want to be an heir apparent, nor did he want to be affiliated with the Abbasid Empire. He would take the position. Why? To protect Islam. Because at that time, if he did not take that position, Islam itself as a religion, the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt, that would protect the religion, would be at compromise. It would be compromised. The second principle, which goes hand in hand with the first principle, that all of the Imams had, and Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam specifically had, was that the principle of protecting the believers, the well-being, the blood of the believers themselves. When you go back and you see, during the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, why, for example, didn't Imam Ali alayhi salam demand his rights when political authority was taken away from him? It was to protect the little believers that existed. That because if they were not, if the Imam did not take that position, that those believers would be annihilated. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, another example, his followers would come to him and say, "Oh Imam, we will have the greatest uprising. Let us rally the troops. Let us take the charge against the people of the Levant, the people of Sham, meaning Muawiyah. Let us take that charge and we will take back what is ours. Let us rise." The Imam would tell them, smile, gently, tell them and say, "Sheathe your swords. It is not time." The Imam chose the accord. And the many Imams after would choose not a rise or a rebellion or a revolution of arms. Why? Because they were so calculative and so strategic in their thinking that they looked to these two principles. That I have to protect in the long run the vision of Islam, the body of Islam, and I have to protect the believers themselves. And Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, when he was talking to his companions, he would tell them that if we were to rise, there wouldn't be a believer left on the face of this earth. They would be annihilated. And Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam was put in a similar position. And through his position, where he would be the heir apparent of al-Ma'mun, one of the most beautiful things that's actually characteristic of that time is the spread of the majalis of Ashura. Take note of this. And this is something, if this inspires you, if nothing in this lecture inspires you to go read and learn more about the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, let this do that for you. In Imam Ali Reda, because he was the heir apparent, because he was the second in line in the political authority of the Abbasid Empire at that time, even if it was just for a few years, during that time, the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam were instituted across the entire Muslim Empire. The majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, dhikr of Ashura, came in a formalistic, institutionalized fashion during that time because of the position that Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam was in. And that many people that you'll actually see, if you look at different cultures and countries across the Muslim world, some have the majalis for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but don't even call themselves Shia or followers of Ahlul Bayt. And a lot of that traces back to what was institutionalized during the time of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam. And a lot of this was to appease the followers of Imam Reda and Imam Reda himself. One of the other characteristic things of that time was that the Abbasid Empire, what was their symbol was their black flags. So all over the Abbasid Empire you would see the black flags. This was a sign of, this is Abbasid rulership. During the time that Imam Reda alayhi salam was Wali al-Ahd, during that time, all of those black flags, al-Ma'mun ordered all of the black flags to be changed to green flags. Green flags being what? The symbol of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, the color of Ahlul Bayt. So even though, again, this was under the guise of al-Ma'mun himself trying to take political rulership over all of the empire, because again, that conflict that existed between him and his brother Al-Amin, at the same time, the long-term effect which the Imam would be aware of would be that the memory of Ahlul Bayt and the principles and rituals that Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam had would actually be institutionalized at a larger effect because of the position that he was in. The love of Imam Reda sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So notice, my dear brothers and sisters, again, the time is way too short to look at all of the examples and all of the highlights in the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam. But to go on with the principles that we mentioned, the first, the principle of protecting Islam, protecting the faith. All of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. If you're ever wondering, why did Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam choose the peace accord while Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would have a battle in Karbala? Why did Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, for example, take political authority when he did, but before he did not rise for it? Why did, for example, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam choose education and schooling at the time that he did? And why did he have thousands of students at the time when Imam Ali Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam only had a handful whom he taught through supplication? Why? Why was it that each member of Ahlul Bayt, each Imam, and you go on from Imam to Imam to Imam, there's different characteristics. Was it that they led differently? Was it that they had different missions? Different styles, different visions? What it came down to is that our Imams alayhi salam, my dear brothers and sisters, within the framework of the principles that they were tasked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, within that, they were very flexible. They were very versatile. These Imams were dynamic. Our Imams are not one-dimensional, each and every single one of them. And I often go back to this. Whenever we refer to history, I often refer back to this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn imaman, qama aw qa'ada. Al-Hasan wal-Husayn, both of them are Imams, whether they rise or they sit or settle. Is it that Rasulullah was referring to Al-Hasan to be one who would settle and sit, while Al-Husayn alayhi salam would be the one who would rise? No, absolutely not. In fact, this hadith tells us in looking back into history to see and examining the life of Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein, who are two primary examples for us, we look and we see that both of the Imams, depending on the circumstances of the time, based on the principles that they were living and dying for, protecting the religion and protecting the believers, at times they would rise and at times they would settle. Look, for example, Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, during his lifetime, he would fight against Muawiyah. He was the one who was actually at the forefront of every battle of his father, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. During the 3 civil wars that took place during the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, al-Hasan and al-Hussein alayhim salam, they would both be there. They would both be there. Now what about al-Hussein alayhi salam? What's his example of settling or sitting as opposed to rising, as we would look at the hadith? The very fact that after the death of Imam al-Hasan, 10 years would pass while Imam al-Hussein was the active Imam at that time, lived under the rulership of Muawiyah. And the followers of Ahlul Bayt, some of the companions, would go back to al-Hussein alayhi salam and tell him, let us rise, let us mobilize our forces, let us fight against the Umayyads, let us lead a revolution. And he would tell them, it is not time, sheathe your swords. So long as Muawiyah is alive, sheathe your swords. For 10 years, Imam al-Hussein, in fact, by mere virtue of time, Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein would lead under the leadership of the accord of Imam al-Hasan longer than Imam al-Hasan himself, who led under that accord for 8 years before being poisoned and killed by the Umayyad dynasty. Teaching us what, my dear brothers and sisters? No matter where we are in this world, whether you're living in the United States and you're an American, or you're from the United Kingdom, which our brothers have joined us, and we so graciously welcome them. Wherever you are, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, the Middle East, Asia, wherever you are in the world, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam show us what? That you can live by the principles of Islam, of this beautiful faith that God has blessed us with, and you can be successful in this world and the next. That you can be an engaged member of your society. That you can be one who sets an example and is not considered to be extreme on the right or the left. And you can be a mercy to those around you. And you can be a blessing and a grace to those around you. That is what they teach us. No matter what position we are in, whether you're at the helm of authority, like Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was, or Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam was, or you are ostracized, and you are oppressed, and you are persecuted, or you're left alone. Whatever position you are in, you have the ability to lead a life of success. You can be whatever you want to be in this life, so long as you're holding on to the rope of God. Success is yours. Success is ours in this life and the next. Why? Because we look towards Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, who showed us success in this life and the next. They weren't individuals who merely showed us that in order for you to be successful in the next life, you have to be a failure in this life. The examples of Ahlul Bayt, every single one of them show us that in every situation they were in, they were successful. But the key to it is what? Having the right compass, having the right set of principles. And that's something that we have to remind ourselves with. The last principle, my dear brothers and sisters, and I'll end with this. The last principle is that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, in their ethics, showed us time and time again, whether it was their friends or their foes, whether it was Muslims or followers of Ahlul Bayt, in specific, in distinction, or any kind of human being, they treated all people with respect, dignity, and regard. Every single human being was treated that way by members of Ahlul Bayt. And that is something that we have to, as respected members of our society, if we wish to be, that wherever we are in the world, we have to treat every human being that crosses our path with the greatest amount of respect. No matter how high, quote unquote, position we become in our careers, in our lives, within our families, within our societies, the worst thing that we can do is treat people in a way that they are lesser than us. And I will refer to a short story from the life of Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam that's referenced in Bihar al-Anwar in volume 49, and page 101, where the Imam alayhi salam, he stressed that any kind of gathering of food, any kind of meal that they had in his home, he stressed that everybody would sit down and eat together. That he would not eat himself until the younger ones and the servants and the students and whoever was in the house, whoever was there, that they all ate. The Imam ﷺ would not eat until the maids in the house, the assistants, the servants, whoever, the help as you may call it, until they ate. And one of the unique and beautiful things about the household of Ahlul Bayt is that you would see what would be considered the help or servants, whatever term you want to give it. Those individuals were treated like family. Those individuals were treated as students, were treated as soon-to-be scholars. Every member that would walk into the household of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam were graced and blessed in the most beautiful ways. In this story, one of the individuals that was visiting Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, who he himself had a different set of standards and principles when it came to this particular ethic. He said to Imam Ali Reda, when he saw that all of the people that were around the house and the grounds of the house, he saw them all eating together. He said, don't you think it would be more appropriate if you had, for example, these people eating somewhere else or eating at a different time, while we, ate in a different position? And he tried to be polite about it, but basically he was saying, tell these people to get out of here, I don't want to eat with them. Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam said something so beautiful. He said, all men and women were created equal by their Lord. Regardless of their background, regardless of where they came from, they are all the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. And nobody is better than the other except by his piety and godliness. Again, affirming what? The verse from Surah Al-Hujarat, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That the best amongst you is the most pious. When you go back to each one of the lives of the Imams, the Imam Ali Reda, or all the way back to his great-grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, and I love to refer back to this particular example, where during the Khilafah, again, showing just like the Imam alayhi salam, during his rule as the heir apparent, the Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, during his Khilafah, his caliphate, he would be walking amongst the people, he would be walking in the market, and he would see something peculiar. He would see an elderly man begging. This elderly man begging. And no one was helping him. No one was coming to his aid. He kept on asking time and time again, please help me. Turning right and turning left. Imagine someone coming, turning right and turning left. Help me. I'm poor. Help me. I have no money. I have no food. Help me. No one answering him. The Imam turns to some of his companions and some of the people that were around. And he says, what's going on here? Why isn't he being helped? And one of them responds quickly and says, he's but a Christian. When that man said that, the Imam was so angered. He quickly responded and said, how dare you use this man up in his youth and then neglect him in his old age? And he ordered them. He said, I'm not moving from here until you go to the treasury and you help him from the treasury itself, until all of his needs are met. The Imam would be the one who would instruct, establishing that standard of just governance, saying what? That a person is either your brother in faith or your equal in humanity. Nothing less. So either, my dear brothers and sisters, So either, my dear brothers and sisters, we look at each other simply as family, if we belong to the same faith. But if we happen not to belong to the same faith, and that person happens to not have faith at all, at the end of the day, they're a human being. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the one who we look to after the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, he shows us, he established for us that if you truly want to be a Muslim, and you truly want to be a manifestation of the mercy of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, you need to treat all people with equality, dignity, and respect. And that's a bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are either a brother or sister in faith, or you and I are equal to each other, regardless of what faith you belong to. Meaning what? You're not better than me, and I'm not better than you. That is the religion of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. That is the faith of Islam. That is what we believe.
Use these programs to really learn about our Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. You know, more than raffles and gifts and whatnot, let's get to know them on a personal level, because they are our role models in this world. Like Brother Jalal said, no matter where you are, whether you're here or you're there, they are the perfect role models. Whether you're young, you're old, you're female, you're male, if you need an answer, you go to them. But we won't have questions unless we know them, we get to know them, whether we have some curiosity about them. You know, attending these programs, it's phenomenal, and I commend you all for being here. But we need to do more. We need to attend more. We need to be more engaged in our communities, whether it's this mosque or the next. Be involved in your community. Come together, you know, for the love of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. Go to these programs, go to other mosques, host these programs. Have your children attend, you know, read about them. I don't think, you know, any one of us can stress enough how important it is to hold on to Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam, especially in this day and age. And so with that being said, back to the glitz and the glamour. For those who came in late, we do have raffles that we're selling for $1 a piece. Some of our raffle prizes include a ground package trip to Ziyara Imam Reda alayhi salam, which was given to us generously by Spiritual Journeys, who have scholars with Dr. Sayyid Omar Naqshwani, Sheikh Muhammad Halli, amongst others. And so if you would like the opportunity to win a ground package trip to do ziyarah to your Imam, then buy raffles from either outside in the reception area or from either one of our volunteers who will be walking up and down the aisles. And also, just so you know, at the end of this program, we will have a reception outside. We'll be serving cake and giving away goodie bags for the children. Without further ado, I'd like to present our honorary reciter. We are so honored. In Mullah Ali Fadil, بعد الصلاة على
not entitled to a goodie bag. Are we in agreement? Okay, so inshallah, so if you want to sort of raise your voice or use your voice in any way, shape or form, then this is the segment to do it so that you can again use your voice in honor of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. But in terms of your salawat, I really would like to ask that you recite a salawat, but for the love of Imam Reda alayhi salam, and after the salawat I'll explain why this program is unique. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. In Muharram, we have 10 nights of deep commemoration for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. In Ramadan, we have 30 nights of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and during those other nights we have concentrated commemoration towards whom? Imam Ali alayhi salam. However, as followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, we have 12 Imams in which we remember. And one of those Imams we remember for their births and for their deaths. One of those Imams is Imam Reda alayhi salam. How many nights do we pledge, or how much of our time do we pledge in commitment to the rest of the Imams outside of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Imam Ali alayhi salam and Fatima Zahra and Abi Fadl Abbas and to a certain extent Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. And this is the program, and why it's unique, because of these established organizations that have come together in order to bring this program for you. And so I commend the organizers, and I commend the people that have actually arrived in honor of Imam Reda alayhi salam. And I know I do talk a lot, and it's just a disease I really need to get rid of. But I'm just wanted to explain and congratulate the organizers, especially coming in from London. I know for a fact that you'll hear from Sayyid Haidar Nasrallah after. That I sit with him on a weekly basis, and I could see that the program, the commitment that he showed from Akbar Foundation to bring all of these organizations together is something to be commended as well. So, that being said, inshallah, we'll start with the recitations with Allah salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. يا غريب الدار لا لست الغريب يا غريب الدار لا لست الغريب لك جئنا وقريب وعلت أصواتنا أنت الحبيب 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 هالك عنك الذي قد شمس لا يدانيها كسوف كل شيء من ضياها قد أضام سبح الكون إلها قد براك تاهت الجنة في حسن بهاك سيدي والله يرضى لرضاك كيف لا والله سماك الرضا صل على محمد وآل محمد. Was anyone at the Ummah convention a couple of weeks ago, maybe, I believe last month. Was anyone at the Imam convention? A show of hands, maybe? One or two. Okay, so I like to change things up, especially when it comes to the clapping. Was anyone at the Imam convention a couple of years ago here in Dearborn? We did the whole 3 clap thing. Yeah, so I think you might remember the 3 clap thing. Now, what I want to do is change it up a bit and have it's hard to explain. So it's a different type of clap. So this is where it really gets your attention. So how we have the normal rhythmic clap that we all normally have, I want to change it up so it's basically 2 and then 1, 2 and then 1, 2 and then 1, and we'll follow from that. Okay? It's not that difficult to follow, but once you get into the rhythm, hopefully it'll be okay. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The clapping goes as follows, and just try and repeat after this, right? You clap to that? Okay, so it's 2 and 1. Keep going. 2 and 1. A bit slower. Slower a bit. Okay. Keep it going. Okay, alright, one second. Maybe it's just from my part, it's a bit of a difficult one to follow. But if you could just do it a 2 and then a bit of space and then 1, it's gonna get technical, but 2 and then space and then 1, so it's not just 2, 1, 2, 1. This is probably a bad idea, isn't it? I'm really considering not using this. But hey, we'll give it a go anyway. We'll give it a go. Let's carry on as well. So carry on with the 2 and 1. If any are left in sorrows, tell them One second. Let me get into the poem first, and then we'll try and carry on later on. But for now, forget the last 30 seconds of what's happened. I'm going to just go back straight to the normal clapping. Right. So, if any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Then your response, inshallah, all together. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Sorrows, tell them Reda. Ali Reda. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Ali Reda. Why is it painful for me to hear that? It really is. I really ask you. I know it's not that difficult to follow, so your response is only Ali Reda. And if I can just get a bit more emotion into it, a bit more of a voice, and then inshallah we can start with some amazing recitations. So, if any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Ali Reda. Tell them Reda. Hey, Ali Reda. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Hey, tell them Reda. When tell them Reda. Hey, called a stranger, but not a stranger in our eyes. He comforts every heart where a stranger lies. They shine from all, but no stranger from his hand shines, and his hand wipes every tear that a stranger cries. Every stranger looks to him, the pride of the Bani Hashim, because to every stranger he is a friend and a father. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Oh, tell them Reda. life with anything he was pleased, leaves not a soul returning from his grave unpleased. Indeed Reda he became, and named after his own name. Indeed Reda he became, and named after his own name. The eye weeps to think he smiled with no family member. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Oh, tell them Reda. Where's your voices? If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Oh, tell them Reda. Hey, tell them Reda. They're not allowed to upon his own home soil tread. So Reda lit up the whole of Mashhad instead, taken away from the city of Muhammad, taken away from the city of Muhammad. So in his grandfather's name he conquered Mashhad. Take him in chains to Persia, take him handcuffed to China. Wherever he goes, flock to him with lover after lover. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Oh, tell them Reda. Voices, tell them Reda. Oh, if any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Voices, tell them Reda. They call the stranger as if no one is lonely. Oh, Reda, I swear I do not see a stranger. I see he who to some couldn't be dearer, to others dearer to them than their own mother. Like oceans to you they pour, extending hands by your door. Of the lonely and the beggar, the lover and the carer. If any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Tell them Reda. Oh, if any are left in sorrows, tell them Reda. Hey, tell them Reda. صلى على محمد وعلى محمد. As we are mentioning Imam Ali al-Rida, it's also befitting to mention the commander of the faithful, who we will also enlighten ourselves with later on today in a bit of a surprise, but hopefully it'll be revealed later on. And the last poem before I hand over to the esteemed guests, say had on us as well. وليسم علي في أذني وليسم علي في أذني عشق المشتاق إلى الوطن عشق موروث مصدره أنفاس الأم مع اللبن وأب قد ذاب بحيدرة وأب قد ذاب بحيدرة ولحفظ مقامه أدبني أبني إذا قلت عليا بني إذا قلت عليا بني إذا قلت عليا على الصلوات على الصلوات أبا الحسنين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you very much for your participation, I really appreciate it. Just a quick note on the raffle prizes. By the way, this prize is something unique. The host did mention her experience with spiritual journeys. I'll also reveal and share some thoughts about spiritual journeys and what you can gain from them. Their main mantra, and to define what mantra means, their main philosophy basically is the servants of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or the servants of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And what this means for them is that their whole being, their existence for that duration of time, for the 2 weeks, 1 week, however long that you're with them, is to make sure that when you come into the ziyarah with them, you leave with an experience like you felt no other. And that's what I really encourage in terms of the raffles and the raffles being given out to purchase one in honor of Imam Reda, because it's a chance to actually go to ziyarah with them specifically. That's being Sayyid Ammar will be there, Sayyid Ammar Khashwani, Dr. Sayyid Ammar Khashwani, Sheikh Khalli, and among others as well. So I really encourage you to do that. Of course, in the other prizes as well. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you, Mullah Ali. This is probably the last chance you'll have to buy raffle tickets. As Mullah Ali mentioned, there is a raffle ticket, a ground package to Ziyarah Imam Ali Reda alayhi salam, amongst other prizes. And so if you still haven't bought one and you'd like to buy them, just raise your hand for one of our volunteers, inshallah, and they'll allow you to purchase one. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sayyid Haidar Nasrallah, who came all the way from London to be with us today. And so let's welcome him to Dearborn with our loudest salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى عترته الطيبين الطاهرين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, I greet you today on the day that marks the birth of our 8th Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salam. And I'd like to thank all those involved in bringing this unique program together, that brought together organizations from across the Western world, in our situation, London and Dearborn. And as we all know, it is of high importance to celebrate the births of our noble Imams. And on that point, I'd like to focus on some points that inshallah I'll make. Please enlighten the place with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I am aware that in such gatherings, everyone is used to send Allah salawat and respectfully listen, but to listen with a degree of apathy, a lack of interest and enthusiasm. We walk into these religious gatherings, we pay our lip service to the Imam alayhi salam, and we'll even give up a day, a weekend, and in Muharram we give up 10 days of Muharram. You know, on Tasu'a, Mom, I can't go to school tomorrow, I need to mourn for Imam Hussein. But when you sit here and listen to a lecture being given Does the lecture resonate within you, or do you sit down and feel bored, uninterested? Instead, what I want you to think about, which brings me to the broad question I want to focus on during this lecture, is how is the life of Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam of any relevance to us today? It would be easy for me here to stand before you today, emotionally blackmail you and ask you why you can't love the Ahlul Bayt. Enough to patiently listen to a speech about them which in no way is relevant to you or about you. But that's not how we should be doing things. If someone is here to lecture you about the 12 Imams, or indeed any of the infallibles and their children, and you can't find an area of relevance, then know that there is something drastically wrong in the approach and the means that is being used to convey this message. There are intelligent minds in this room who realize that the situation is different, that the dynamics have changed, and there are a lot of social and political changes that are impacting, influencing, and shifting the way in which the Muslim community in the West has functioned and will continue to function. How could you possibly find any relevance in the stories of the past, especially ones from so long ago? Inshallah, with this question we can reassess, reanalyze, and revive the spirit of the life and teachings of the Imams. We don't need to look very far to see that the world has truly changed. What we consider moral and what we as human beings live in a society, worry has changed. There's a dynamic tension between what is considered as conservative values and liberal values, and now it's difficult to find the average person like you or me to commit to any set of principled values. Rather, we find ourselves surrounded by a cocktail mix of numerous different, contradictory and conflicting beliefs. If we focus on the life of Imam Ali al-Rida, we notice that at the time of the tyrants who ruled during the era of the Imams, Imamate, Al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi from the Abbasid Caliphate would entertain the educated masses with philanthropic type initiatives by having scholars of different worldviews to meet in an exchange of ideas like that we have today with interfaith dialogue. Al-Ma'mun would try to invite the Imam to these gatherings so that he can debate with these scholars with different worldviews in hopes to embarrass the Imam or to expose him to be less educated and less wise. So these experts, known at the time, were brought to debate with the Imam, and each time the Imam would demolish them intellectually. He'd expose their self-contradictory mechanisms and the foundational assumptions of their worldview and expose them to be deficient in the grander scale of ideas. And then he'd humbly have them concede to the truth and to the teachings of the Imam. So how does that help me, and how does that help you? What it teaches us is that really people don't change. Human nature is a constant, but rather what changes so drastically is one thing, and that is technology. And with it come advancements in our thoughts and regression in our thoughts. But how do these theological debates of the Imam help us to engage in this society and with the pressures that we face daily? It's quite simple really. When we come to understand that we have a stable worldview which is grounded in reasonable assumption that recognize that the assumptions of the contemporary world are not grounded in anything, then we come to understand that in reality it should be us challenging the modern narrative and not vice versa. So in layman's terms, not much has changed since that time and now. Don't think that just because now we drive cars and at that time they used to ride camels, that these people were so different than us, when in reality these people were just as intellectually stimulated. And what that means to us is that the Imam taught them what he taught them then, he can teach us today, And when you have a question in anything, whatever it may be, go to your Imams, study their works, read their books and get to know them, because I promise you, your questions won't go unanswered, because there is nothing that you've thought about that they haven't. I'm very sorry for boring you with my speech. It wasn't prepared well in time. We did have a change in the program, but inshallah we will move on to our next segment. If Mullah Ali can join me. Yes, acting like a battle. And as Rasulullah says, ذِكْرُ عَلِيٌّ عِبَادَةٌ. Inshallah you can join us with your voices and your hands as you clap. Do you want to grow?
Okay, so this is very, very impromptu. We've never done this before, and we're gonna go for something that's quite simple. So, what was the tune again? Okay. Ya Ali Madad. And then this part is where I really need you to go. La 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 la. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. La 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 la. Because the words, trust me, even I can't read it sometimes, so I need you to go la 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 la, so that we can get the rhythm going. So, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la. The voices, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la.
Listen. This crowd is very dry.
There's not much I can do. I try.
Yani, mashallah, the sisters, the voices are very loud. Now they're quiet. Why? And the brothers, yani, it's Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. And then there's this lai thingy Mullah Ali came up with. So if we can just participate, maybe you can gain some ajr. Nothing's going to go in our pockets, unfortunately. So do help us with your... Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la, Ya Ali, Ya Ali. يلا حجي صوتك ما شاء الله. ايه يا علي مدد يا علي. So we call it the sister. Sorry, tune. هاي لا يا دور يا علي مدد لا 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 يا علي مدد يا علي مدد لا 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 متحير ايش اقوله متحير ويدوي متحير ايش اقوله لو ابدي في كلامي لو ابدي في كلامي اشواقي في البدايه اشواقي في البدايه يا منيتي وسلامي يا عدلوني في مديحك لاموني يا إمامي لاموني يا انت لي سند انت لي سند وتقرب البعيد يا علي مدد يا The only one that thinks for the German Three legs is not of the tongue.
is not on the tongue. The heart itself speaks your name, because the tongue cannot hold the legend that you became. Because the tongue cannot hold the legend that you became. Your courage extinguishes even the hellfire's flame. Even the hellfire's flame. Even the hellfire's flame. Both heaven and hell, both heaven and hell named you as their divider. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la ilaha illa la ilaha illa Ya Ali la ilaha illa la ilaha Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la ilaha illa la ilaha Ya Ali, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la ilaha Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. يا قبلتي وصلاتي يا مريتي وصلاتي دونك عدم حياتي تعبرني في مماتي وبالآخرة نجاتي وبالآخرة انت لي سند انت لي سند وتقرب بعيد يا علي مدد يا علي مدد لا 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 يا علي لا 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 يا علي مدد يا علي مدد لا 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 I couldn't find one like you. I couldn't find one like you. In your two eyes, seven skies. In your two eyes, seven skies. Even the sun follows you. Even the sun follows you. With no Ali, no sunrise. With no Ali, no sunrise. I don't say you have courage. I don't say you have courage. I say for you courage cries. I say for you courage cries. I say for you courage cries. When courage is scared, when courage is scared, it calls out for its leader. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, la 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 la. صار العشق غدير، صار العشق غدير. علي علي أميري، علي 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 أميري. بس أنت في ضميري، حبك رسم مصيري، حبك رسم مصيري. بيعتي وعد بيعتي وعد قلبي من لقيله. يا علي مدد يا علي لا 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 يا علي مدد يا علي مدد يا علي مدد يا علي مدد لا 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 Allah make the Dhulfiqar. It's still a ritual of clapping. It's only once, just once. Allah make the Dhulfiqar. I placed it into your palm. I placed it into your palm. Allah make the Dhulfiqar. first Imam. Ali is my first Imam. My first and my last, my first and my last. And I cannot be prouder. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. It is a part of my blood to call Ali when I fall, to call Ali when I fall. It is a part of my blood to call Ali when I fall. But Ali, I am confused. What do I say when I call? Ali's the father of gods. Ali's the father of gods. Oh, he's the father of all. Oh, he's the father of all. Oh, he's the father of all. I see even gold. I see even gold. What did you as his father? Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. La ilaha illallah, ya Ali, ya Ali Madad, ya Ali Madad. La ilaha illallah, ya Ali Madad. اسمك ولد أماني، اسمك ولد أماني، علي لساني بقلبي علي ولساني. اسمك ولد أماني، اسمك ولد أماني، بقلبي علي ولساني، بقلبي علي علي ضماني، علي ضماني، بالشدة ما نساني، بالشدة ما نساني. تنجلي الشدد، تنجلي الشدد، جيش الحزن تبيله. يا علي مدد، يا علي مدد. لا 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 لا. Ya Ali Madad, la ilaha illallah. Yes, Ali is my Imam. Yes, Ali is my Imam. And no one could be prouder. And no one could be prouder. And if they ask about you, and if they ask about you, I tell them look at Badir. I tell them look at Badir. And just like you won Badir, and just like you won Badir, you won my heart, oh Haydar. You won my heart, oh Haydar. You won my heart, oh Haydar. Who was the hero? Who was the hero of Uhud? of the words. It is Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Qaid al-Ghayara, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Mudrik al-Hayara. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad. It's about time, mate.
Inshallah, we will begin the raffle prizes, the segment everyone's been waiting for. Just trying to dash us off the stage. Inshallah, where are the prizes?
I want to win.
Okay. If anyone wants to buy any raffles, now is the last chance and opportunity for you to purchase raffles for some very exciting prizes. One of them being the ground package by Spiritual Journeys in Iran, where you can visit Tehran and Mashhad. In Tehran, the sister of Imam Reda alayhi salam, Fatima al-Ma'suma in Qom, and in Mashhad, Imam Reda alayhi salam, Abu Hamza al-Mubarqa, Nayshabur, and many other Imam Zadas, inshallah. And inshallah his mic works.
Haida, by the time we are collecting raffles, is this everything?
Is that it? I think we can make more raffles or more purchases.
Okay, so we're going to give you about 2 or 3 minutes to
reconsider life.
In the meantime, said Haida, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. This is your first time reciting here
First time, yes.
Alright. If I could just quickly get the attention of the audience before we carry on with the raffle.
I think they're a bit busy.
Yeah. I mean, if you're busy buying the raffles, then fine, no problem.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Yeah, so just wanted to quickly ask you a couple of questions actually regarding your work in London. So tell us about Akbar Foundation and the work they do in London.
So basically, we are a group of youth who rebelled against our community and gathered youth from all across the many centres in London and founded our own organisation by the youth, for the youth. And alhamdulillah, it's been about 5 years that we were having programs, whether they are religious gatherings or social initiatives such as charities, educational courses. And alhamdulillah, with the support of our youth, it has been going splendid.
Okay, so, I mean, there are many other organizations that do exactly the same as you say, but there is something that's unique about Akbar Foundation. What is it? Name me 2 or 3 things that are unique about Akbar Foundation.
Okay, the guy put me on the spot. But
yeah, if you can't answer it, I can.
Okay. So basically what we try and do is we try and invest in our youth. Our youth have a lot of potential. Don't look at a youngster, whether he's 14, mashallah. I mean, Brother Haidar that I just met 2 days ago, who's 14 but looks 50, mashallah. The amount of knowledge that he has with technology is very impressive for someone his age, and I do hope the Islamic House of Wisdom do invest in his talents. But basically what we do is we pick out our youth and we invest in them. We see what their talents are, what their strong points are, and we allow them to serve very comfortably in their own zone. And alhamdulillah, it is because of that we have been able to produce successful measures in London.
Okay, brilliant. I think that will do for now. So
start the raffles now.
Let's start the raffles. Go ahead. Oh, we're waiting. One more.
Do we have more?
The raffle?
Yeah, there's one more in there as well.
What colour is yours, bro?
Green.
Okay, is anyone else buying yet? So we have a bit more raffles coming in. I think there's another about 20 seconds before the official first.
18, 10,
Really?
Now your voice is coming?
Really? You're gonna do a countdown?
Keep going. Keep going, guys.
Any more? No?
Hey, start from
Shall we announce the end of the opportunity to purchase any raffles for the raffle prizes we have, inshallah?
So tell me, Sayyid Haidar, I mean, in terms of the prizes, what's the least? Yeah, and then we'll finish with the high, yeah.
So obviously,
so they can see their
we have vouchers from Big B Coffee. I don't know if anyone's fond of coffee. Half of them are like 10.
How much is the actual voucher?
The voucher is $25.
Wow.
Each card is $25. Inshallah, we will begin.
No.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Our first prize.
It's a number, right? Yeah, okay, so we have, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits in them. Alright, I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this actually. So there's 7 digits. The last digit is a 5. So that excludes a number of people, right? The first digit is a 1. The second digit is a 7. Okay, I think we're in agreement that the first 3 digits maybe is 176. Okay, so far so good. 176, 46, and then there's one last digit, so that's 176, 46, something 5. That something is an 8. So 176 is the winner, 176, 46, 8, 5.
Where is our champion?
The champion of coffee. We have a champion?
No champ?
Oh, we do or not? I just said a salawat.
Well, when this
Yeah. Ah.
Oh, mashallah.
Okay. Right. Oh, so we do have the winner there. Yeah, so it's 176.
Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Yeah, it's right there. Just to keep this, like, there's going to be a bit of randomness with salawat and round of applause and salat, round of applause. If we say salawat, then salawat. If we say round of applause, then we'll put round of applause. I think for each winner we'll do round of applause. It's easier than doing all that.
So because it's prayer time very soon, inshallah, we'll go quickly.
Yeah.
For the second prize, which is also a $25 voucher for Big B Coffee, inshallah, if we can have 1764665 come to the front, please. Hello.
Repeat the number. Repeat the number.
1764665.
Round of applause for the winner. Thank you very much. So we have 2 scooters and then the spiritual journeys.
Yes, 3 more prizes. So now for the first scooter.
So this is the first scooter. This is quite interesting. We have, alright, we don't have a 176. We have 8434 and then 795. Yes, we've got a winner. Round of applause for the winner, the young girl. Thank you. Just to confirm the number, it's 8434795. Ahsanti, well done. Now, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It's quite heavy, be careful. Ahsanti.
For our fourth prize, which is also a Razor kick scooter.
Yeah.
Allah. Inshallah, the guys can win something this time. Our winner is. What color is this?
It's a blue one.
97.
It's blue, by the way.
0803.
We have a winner. It's a blue ticket. The number is
970803.
It's only fair that you do it.
Oh, we have a winner.
Oh, hello!
Inshallah.
Allah.
Round of applause.
Round of applause for the young man. He just wants to feel like he probably won't be able to
Yeah, he's
ride.
going to pick it up himself, so I need parental guidance or someone.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Zin, now for the major grand prize of a ziyarah to Imam Reda alayhi salam. Be attentive to your numbers. This is the last raffle.
I saw $50 for this one. So,
Okay, so I'll take the number out, and I'm hoping it's green because I know that most of the people here have green. Zin, we have a 176
no.
already.
Sorry.
So hands up who's still in play. Okay, cool. We have 176. The next two digits are a 4 and a 5. Okay, so who's still in play? Alright, so we've got a number of people in play. Now, huh? Should we? Okay. Whoever's still in play, stand up.
Please stand up.
The numbers so far is 17645. If you still got this number, please stand up. The next digits.
Who has the tawfiq to go for ziyarah for Imam?
The next digit is an 8. Please sit down. If this is not your number,
Who's still standing?
who's still standing? Where?
Where?
No, honestly, who's still standing?
They all sat down.
Okay, so we don't have a winner.
We will redraw.
Should I do it again?
It's been official.
There must be, okay. Fine.
Salat time. Let's go.
No, another one.
Yeah, you have another opportunity.
I have another opportunity, and I have another one. Again, it's a 176.
Stand up.
Stand up 176s. The next number is a 4. Okay, we're still in play. The next number is a 5. The next number is not 1. No, relax. I said there's not a 1. Okay, the next number, I'm not going to confuse this. The next number is a 9. Okay, so whoever's still in play, please stand up. Whoever's still in play, we still have a number. 17645 2 is the last number. 1764592.
Third redraw, Ya Allah.
Oh God. Really? No, there is a winner.
Ya Allah, we have a
We have a
winner.
winner. صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And a round of applause for the last winner of the ziyarah. Take a picture. Let me just confirm. It is 1764592. We actually do have a winner. Well done. Well done. Okay.
And inshallah, we will close with that. Thank you for being with us. And inshallah, I do apologize for those that didn't win. Do catch us soon, inshallah. If we do come to invite us again, we'll bring more Hamza prizes. Inshallah, we will be going to pray. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.